Okay, I'd like to thank you all for coming here tonight. I appreciate your divine presence and your divine energy, and not even coming here, for being here. Because it's one thing to come here and it's another thing to be here. Two different phenomenons. Many can come here, but only those who have obtained a certain state of actual being in blackness, in black supremacy, can actually be here. And those who have been here for a period of time know the difference, know the different stages and the different mentalities, the different vibration and the different changes that one must overgo, or the transition from actually coming here to being here. People come here and think they can be here. When they first get here, they think it's just going to be easy, that they're just going to, they think because they got here that they're already here. But even though they've got here physically, they have not arrived in consciousness. And it takes a shift. That takes a detoxification out the matrix and a paradigm shift to really get into the vibration of what we got going on here, to move into that flow and that rhythm. That takes time. So to be here is supreme, is a supreme state. To come here, you're a tourist, you're visiting. To be here, you're a transformed entity. You literally have to be a transformed entity in order to continue to be here. And everybody who have come here for the period of time that they have been here doesn't mean that they're into being here yet. When you get into being here, you actually lose the relativity. There's no relative to where you could be, or there's no relationship to this and where you came from, or to this and where you could go. When you get into being here, this becomes home. This becomes your true recognition and a realization of your true state, of your most divine state within yourself. That's what this is an outpicturing of. That's what this is an outward expression of. So I have to thank people for being here continuously. Not so much in the physical space here, but in the vibration of black supreme consciousness that will awaken and exemplify the transformation of the condition of our people. So the name of this particular lecture, or dissertation, or I might say satsang, is, it's not what black supremacy can do for you, but it's what you can do as a black supremacist. It's not what black supremacy can do for you, but what you can do as a black supremacist. Now I got to clarify some things just to start talking about a black supremacist, or before I can even get into my subject matter, I got to define a few areas. When I say a black supremacist, what am I saying? Well, we are all black supreme beings, period. The man on the corner, the drug dealer, the alcoholic, the prostitute, if they got melanin, they're a melanated entity, a descendant of the aboriginal and indigenous people of the planet Earth, then they are supreme beings, period. Bottom line. All melanated people, black people, Moors, Cometians, Cushites, Lost Tribe of Shabazz, whatever title you want to put on them, they are all supreme beings. Period. What is a black supremacist? A black supremacist is one who can stand consistently in the conscious realization and in the position of being a black supreme being in the face of all, in any and all situations and circumstances. So you are a black supreme being. A black supremacist is a state of mind. It is your conscientiousness about being a black supreme being. Y'all follow me with that? So a black supremacist is a state of realization and action relative to you realizing that you are a black supreme being. That's what a black supremacist is. The goal of the black supremacist is to awaken the rest of our people to the realization that they are black supreme beings. That's the whole purpose of it. To wake the rest of them up. One, through the complete exemplification of it, and two, through what I call black supremacist radical extremism. That's waking our people up by any means necessary, using whatever we can to jolt them, to catapult them to be the catharsis of their awakening to the supreme beings that they really and actually are. Once we do that, the end of the white man's rule is over with. So a black supreme being is who we all are, as the maker, owners, mother and father of civilization, and the makers and owners of the planet Earth. We all are supreme beings, no question. But to stand in it, not just as dogmatism, rhetoric, or religious ideology, but to stand in that position all day and every day, each and every moment, in the face of each and every one, then you have become a black supremacist. People ask you what you are. You don't say I'm a vegan. You don't say I'm a raw foodist. I'm a Christian. I'm a Muslim. You say I'm a black supremacist. That is a position that you choose to take on and occupy with reverence and honor to yourself as a black supreme being, and to you being of a race of black supreme beings. That's what a black supremacist is. Now, I'm not the head of the black supremacy movement. As a matter of fact, black supremacy is not a movement, it's not a group. It is a way of life that the individual chooses to take on and realizing their own supremeness as an individual and the supremeness of those who have come amongst them. Only they can do this and realize this for themselves. That's not a group, an organization, rhetoric, or dogmatism. What dictates a person's black supremacy, what dictates them being a black supreme being, is the melanin content within their own skin. You follow? It's not a group or organization at all. So I think I want to clear that up. We are black supreme beings. The exemplification of us being black supreme beings, us standing in wholeheartedly, without apology, without compromise, without regards or consideration to any other race or people or ideology or religion, we are black supremacists. There are those who are black supremacists. They can stand in being black supreme beings. 100% of being dominant over the whole planet Earth, of being the rulers of all people on the planet. They can stand in that wholeheartedly at all times, without question. That's a black supremacist. And it becomes a way of life of standing in that. It becomes a path, a deed of standing in that black supremacy all the time, which becomes a way of life, which becomes a code of ethics, a spirituality, a spiritual system, a spiritual understanding. That's standing in black supremacy as being a black supremacist. Now, what I am leading is what I call the black supremacist radical extremist movement. What is that? I call it BSREM. It is a conscious movement of black supremacists, utilizing their time, energy, labor, and resources, pooling them, bringing it together in order to wake up and accelerate the awakening of the rest of our people, to liberate us from the byproduct of our sleep, of our unconsciousness, to liberate us from what we call white supremacy. White supremacy is a byproduct of us not realizing who we are. Once we realize who we are, what we call white supremacy dissolves immediately, simultaneously. Whenever a black man wakes up, white supremacy dissolves. It falls apart. It needs black sleep in order to exist. So our job as black supremacists, included within a way of life, of being a black supremacist, is to wake up our brothers and sisters to the knowledge of who they are. There will be no revolution or no change or no transformation without us waking our people up. We're not changing into nothing. If you change somebody in a dream, when they wake up, what happens? Nothing changes because they're still in the dream. You got to catapult them out of the dream in order to bring them into the real life and a real awakening. That's what black supremacy is doing. It's changing their consciousness, using all methodologies, using our own lives, using ourselves as examples to bring them into the awakening of their selves. The black radical extremist movement will awaken our people all around the world on a global level. It will affect every of society, from the church to the schools to the Federal Reserve Bank, the money institutions. It will affect the music industry. It will affect every part of society when we push this black supremacy, this black supremacy awakening around people. It will change the very fabric of existence in the way that we know it right now. Our people will wake up, and everybody who've exploited, capitalized, all the vampires, everyone who has ate off of them, they're going to starve. They're getting prepared for a famine once we wake our people up. Now, that takes me into my lecture part. Black supremacy, not a group, not an organization, but a way of life of those who realize that they are supreme beings. A black supremacist is one who stands in the fact, pushes, identifies, describe themselves, and express to all that they realize themselves and their people as being black supreme beings. That's what a black supremacist is. Not a group, not an organization, not a religion, none of that. And this can be done individually, and this can be done amongst others. That means people can hear these messages right now and awaken something within them, and they can be black supremacists right now. They can make that decision to realize themselves as black supreme beings and stand in that completely. But this is what happens when you choose to stand in black supremacy as a black supremacist. With very few of our people awakened, then you end up having to gravitate towards those who have awakened. Do you follow what I'm saying? Because everybody else is asleep. So it begins to look like a group, because you find yourself in association with those who have had a similar awakening. But if all of our people woke up, how is it a group? How can it be a group if the objective is to wake all our people up? Just by saying it's a group, we've already separated from all of our people. We already have made a distinction. That's why it's not a group. It may temporarily look like a group because only a group of us have woke up to a certain extent. But that doesn't define it as a group, because it's defined by its ability to wake up all of our people, to create a conscious shift in all of our people. That's what defines it. And it's also defined that we are supreme in all of our people. That's why it's black supremacy. It's not supremacy outside of our people, outside of our nation. It's black supremacy. So it's defined in all of our people just by saying black. That means every melanated being all around the world is included within that statement. So, in the interim of getting to a point where we wake all our people up to realizing themselves as black supreme beings and be able to stand in that after 400 years of slavery, which is a huge challenge, to be able to stand in that consistently against all odds in the face of everything, in the interim of getting our people to do that, we find ourselves with a group of those, a group of people who have been able to pull it off in this particular dispensation of time. They've been able to do it. To the people outside looking in, that looks like a group, because they're not looking at themselves as being in. They're not looking at their own awakening. They're looking at something outside of them, which is how they've been taught to see groups and organizations and entities and make these different distinctions and separations within our own people. And that's the them, those, and they complex. That is always something outside of self and outside of who I am. Black supremacy, I'm here to tell you, is inside of who you are. It's not outside of who you are. It's not a group over here, over there, down there. Black supremacy is inside of who you are. And even our divinity, while appearing to be outside of who and where you are, our divinity lies inside of who you are. Because if you don't realize yourself, how could you possibly realize who we are? So black supremacy is not outside of anyone, inside of a group. It's inside of all of us, and it's inside of everyone. And if there's a group that's had it, it's because that group rests in the fact that black supremacy lies in all of us. So it's not a group, but a way of life based on those who have realized. Now, to become a black supremacist, to get on that path of being able to stand in it all the time, to show and prove black supremacy, not just through rhetoric and dogmatism, but through our actions, through the way we choose to live, through the obstacles and challenges that we choose to take on, to how we choose to be, because a black supremacy is a heroic personality.